Maya Brooks walked through the bright blue hallways of the space station school. Everything here felt wrong. The lights were too soft. The gravity was too light. Even the air tasted strange. She had been at Galactic Academy for 3 weeks now, and she still felt like she was walking on the moon. She was one of only 5 humans in a school of 2,000 alien students. Most of them had never seen a human before Earth joined the galactic community 2 years ago, and most of them didn't want humans here. Maya kept her eyes down as she walked to class. She passed groups of Vaxel students who whispered and pointed at her. The Vaxel looked like walking crystals that glowed with different colors. They were beautiful, but they were also mean, at least the ones at this school were. A voice like wind chimes called out to her, "Watch where you're going, dirt creature." Maya had accidentally bumped into Kessa, the Vaxel girl who seemed to hate her most. Kessa's crystal body glowed orange with anger. 3 of her friends moved to surround Maya. "Sorry," Maya said quietly. She had learned that talking back only made things worse. The teachers never believed her when she complained. Kessa's family was rich and powerful. Maya's family was just normal people from Earth. "Your kind shouldn't even be here," Kessa continued. Her voice was pretty, but her words were cruel. Humans from their death planet pretending to be civilized. It's embarrassing to watch. Maya's hands became fists, but she kept them at her sides. She wanted to tell Kessa that humans had built great cities while Kessa's ancestors were still learning to think. She wanted to say that Earth had survived ice ages and meteor strikes and was still here, but she said nothing. She just walked past them. In her science class, Maya sat alone in the back row. Her lab partner had asked to switch to a different partner last week, not because Maya did anything wrong, but because being friends with the human girl made you a target too. The teacher, Professor Thelen, talked about different types of life in the galaxy. Maya already knew most of this. She had studied hard before coming here. What the aliens called extreme survival traits, humans just called normal. After class, Maya went to the cafeteria. The food machines could make human food, but it all tasted like paper. She missed her mom's cooking. She missed home. She missed normal gravity that didn't make her feel like she might float away. "Hey, Deathworlder!" Kessa's voice rang out across the cafeteria. Everyone stopped eating to watch. "I heard your planet is so dangerous that even your food tries to kill you." "Is that why you look so skinny?" Other students laughed. Maya felt her face get hot. She wasn't skinny. She was just built for Earth's heavy gravity. That made her look thin compared to aliens who grew up in light gravity. "I heard humans have to inject poison just to survive diseases," another Vaxil student said. "How primitive." "It's called a vaccine," Maya said quietly. "It's medicine. Did someone give you permission to speak?" Kessa moved closer. Her crystal body reflected light in patterns that her friends found funny, but Maya knew meant danger. Maya stood up and grabbed her food tray. She wasn't going to deal with this today. She wasn't going to give them what they wanted. "Running away?" "Typical human coward," Kessa called out. Maya kept walking. She threw away her barely eaten food and turned to leave. Her hands were shaking, not because she was scared, because she was trying so hard not to do something stupid. The school had strict rules about fighting. Any student who got violent would be kicked out immediately. Maya's parents had given up so much to send her here. She couldn't let them down, but then Kessa did something really stupid. She pushed Maya hard from behind. In the light gravity, Maya stumbled backward and almost fell into the trash station. The entire cafeteria went silent. Maya stood up slowly and turned around to face Kessa. The Vaxel girl was smiling, confident that nothing bad would happen to her. Around them, students had pulled out their phones and started recording. They expected to see another humiliating moment for the human girl. "Don't touch me again," Maya said softly. "Or what?" Kessa pushed her again, lighter this time, testing her. "What's a weak little human going to do? Cry? Run away? Tell the teachers?" Maya's patience, stretched thin over 3 weeks of constant bullying, finally broke. But she didn't punch Kessa. She didn't need to. She simply grabbed Kessa's arm when the Vaxel pushed her a 3rd time. Then Maya pulled, using Kessa's own movement and the light gravity against her. Kessa went flying across the cafeteria and crashed into a table. The sound was spectacular. Kessa's crystal body hit the metal with a noise like breaking glass. She wasn't really hurt. Her species was tougher than they looked. But her pride was definitely damaged, along with everyone's shocked silence. Maya stood there breathing hard. She suddenly realized that everything had changed. The phone cameras were still recording. The evidence was clear. She had fought back. And now there would be consequences. "You're going to regret that, human," Kessa hissed from the floor. Her body glowed red with real anger now. "You have no idea what you've just started." Maya picked up her bag. Her hands had stopped shaking. For the first time in 3 weeks, she felt calm. "Yeah," she said. "I think I do." She walked out of the cafeteria with her head up. Behind her, she could hear the explosion of voices as everyone started talking at once. By tonight, everyone on the station would know what happened. The human girl had fought back. The human girl had thrown a Vaxil student across the room. Maya went back to her small room and sat on her bed. She knew what came next. There would be a meeting with the principal. Her parents would be called. The Vaxil family would demand punishment. Maybe she would be kicked out. Maybe she would be sent home. But in that moment, Maya didn't care. She was tired of being afraid, tired of being bullied, tired of pretending to be weak just to make everyone else feel safe. She was from Earth, and humans didn't give up. They adapted. They survived. They fought back when they had to. Whatever came next, Maya would face it, just like humans always had. Maya sat in the principal's office, watching through the glass wall as her parents appeared on a video screen in the next room. Her mother looked worried. Her father looked angry, but Maya knew he wasn't mad at her. Not yet, anyway. Vice Principal Selthor was a four-armed alien who always looked annoyed at everything. He had watched the cafeteria video 3 times now. His finger tentacles drummed on the desk in a way that made Maya nervous. "Miss Brooks," he finally said, "I know that student Kessa pushed you first, but your response was too much. You threw her across the entire cafeteria." "She pushed me twice," Maya said. "I defended myself once." "You sent her flying through the air." "The light gravity did that. I just moved her away from me." Selthor's nose holes flared wide. "The Vaxil delegation has filed an official complaint. They're calling it an attack by a dangerous human. They want you kicked out of school and banned from the station." Maya's stomach felt sick. 3 weeks of being bullied, and she was the one getting punished, of course. "However," Selthor continued, pulling up more videos on his screen, "after looking at security cameras from the past 3 weeks, I found 47 incidents of harassment against you by Kessa and her group. This is a problem." "A problem?" Maya's voice was sharp. "Where were these videos when I reported being bullied 2 weeks ago?" "Your complaint was looked into. It was ignored. You told me to adjust to cultural differences." Selthor's silence told Maya everything she needed to know. They hadn't cared until it became a big political problem. Until the weak human had done something they couldn't ignore. The door opened. A human woman in a crisp uniform walked in. Her badge said she was Commander Lisa Park from Earth's embassy. She had arrived on the station 3 hours ago, called when the Vaxil delegation threatened to take this to the Interstellar Council. "Vice Principal," Commander Park said in a cold voice, "I've reviewed all the evidence, including footage your staff apparently missed that shows Kessa deliberately damaging Maya's belongings, spreading biological contaminants near her room, and organizing systematic social exclusion. Under Council Education Guidelines Section 7, this is hostile environment harassment. My government will be filing counter-complaints." Selthor's face changed colors several times. "Commander Park, I assure you we take all student welfare seriously. Save it." Park's voice could cut steel. "Here's what's going to happen. Maya will receive a formal warning. Nothing on her permanent record. Kessa and her 3 main friends will face actual punishment. And this school will implement immediate anti-harassment training, with special focus on prejudice against Deathworld species. The Vaxil delegation will never accept that. The Vaxil delegation can file a formal protest with the council, where I will personally present evidence that their students have been creating a hostile environment for a minor from a protected species. Earth may be new to galactic politics, but we're very good at discrimination law. We practically invented it." Maya watched the vice principal shrink in his chair. Politics, everything came down to politics. Not what was right or fair, just who had better lawyers. That night, Maya lay in her bed staring at the ceiling. Commander Park had saved her from being expelled, but the damage was done. She had become a political problem. The human who attacked a Vaxil student, never mind the weeks of torture before it, never mind the constant harassment. Her phone buzzed. A message from someone she didn't know. She opened it against her better judgment. The message was simple. Humans don't belong here. Go back to your gravity well before someone gets seriously hurt. This is your only warning. Maya deleted it. Then a second message came. Then a third. By midnight, she had received 47 messages, all saying similar things. Some were creative with their threats. Others were just mean. The worst part was that station security couldn't find who sent them. Anonymous routing through multiple systems. Whoever was doing this knew what they were doing. Maya didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she walked through hallways that had changed overnight. Students who had ignored her before now watched with open hate. A few whispered words of support, but they walked away quickly when they saw others watching. Kessa was waiting at Maya's locker. Her crystal body was surrounded by at least a dozen other students. The Vaxel girl's light patterns looked smug and mean. "Enjoy your diplomatic protection while it lasts, human," Kessa said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "You think you're tough because you come from a heavy world? Because your species climbed out of some violent pit? That doesn't make you better. It makes you dangerous, unstable." "I just want to get to my locker," Maya said quietly. "This is our station. Our school. We built interstellar civilization while your kind was still hitting rocks together. You have no right to be here." Maya felt something inside her go very still and cold. "You're right," she said. "Humans are newcomers. We've only been in space for 200 years. Your people have been traveling the stars for thousands of years. You had every advantage, every head start." She stepped closer. Kessa's supporters shifted nervously. "And yet," Maya continued softly, "in 200 years we've matched your medical technology. Our ships are faster. Our materials are stronger. We're already helping research that advances fields you've been studying for thousands of years. So maybe the question isn't why are we here? Maybe it's why didn't you get further?" The hallway went completely silent. Kessa's light patterns flickered with rage. "You arrogant little creature. Students." A teacher's voice cut through the tension. "Break it up now!" The crowd disappeared quickly, but Maya could feel the weight of what she had just done. She hadn't thrown a punch this time. She had done something worse. She had challenged their entire view of themselves. This wasn't over. This was just beginning. Maya went to her next class with her head held high. She had stood up for herself with words this time. She had defended humanity without using violence. But she knew that Kessa and her friends wouldn't let this go. They would find other ways to make her life difficult. But Maya was done being afraid. She was done apologizing for being human. If they wanted to make this a war, she would show them what humans were really capable of. Not violence, not aggression, but persistence, determination, the refusal to quit no matter how hard things got, because that's what humans did best. They survived, and Maya Brooks was going to survive this no matter what it took. Maya's next class was comparative gravity physics. It was one of the few subjects where humans had a natural advantage. Professor Wendell was a strange floating alien who existed partly out of normal space. The professor seemed fascinated by how humans understood gravity. "Miss Brooks?" Professor Wendell's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "Perhaps you could demonstrate the practical applications of high-gravity adaptation?" Maya walked to the front of the class. The other students watched with mixed feelings. Everyone had seen the cafeteria incident by now. Everyone had picked a side. "Earth's gravity is 1.0 G standard," Maya began. "About 67% stronger than this station. Humans evolved carrying that weight every second of every day. Our bones are thicker. Our muscles are stronger for our body size. Our hearts are built to pump blood upward against heavy resistance." She picked up a teaching tool called a gravity ball. It could simulate different gravitational fields. She set it to Earth normal and held it out. In Earth gravity, this ball weighs about 5 kilograms. "Who wants to try holding it?" Several students looked uncomfortable. Pip, the small feathery alien who sometimes talked to Maya, slowly reached out a thin limb. Maya gently placed the ball in Pip's grasp. The small alien immediately collapsed under the weight, their 3 legs buckling. "That's what humans carry constantly," Maya said, helping Pip up. "Not just in our hands, in our bones, in our blood. Every movement we make on Earth requires overcoming force that would crush most species here." "Which makes you dangerous," a voice called from the back. "One of Kessa's friends." "No," Maya said firmly. "It makes us adapted. Dangerous is what you choose to do with your abilities. I've been here 3 weeks and I've never heard anyone who wasn't actively pushing me around." "You threw Kessa across a room," the student shot back. "In .6 G," Maya corrected. On Earth, what I did would have been a gentle push. Here, the physics made it look dramatic. That's not dangerous. That's just math. Professor Wendell's form shimmered with what might have been approval. Indeed, context matters in all physical interactions. What seems violent in one environment may be perfectly normal in another. This is why the Council requires environmental compensation training for all Deathworld species. Which she clearly hasn't completed, the hostile student pressed. Actually, Wendell said, pulling up Maya's records. Miss Brooks completed the training in her first week with perfect scores. She's been adjusting her physical responses consistently. The cafeteria incident was the only time she's failed to compensate. And given the provocation, her restraint was actually remarkable. Maya sat down, trying to ignore the burning feeling in her chest. Having a teacher defend her was new, uncomfortable. She didn't want special treatment. She just wanted to be left alone to study. After class, Pip approached her carefully. "That was brave," the small alien whispered. "What you said? It was just physics," Maya replied. "No, you stood up to them." "Nobody does that." Pip's feathers ruffled nervously. "Kessa and her group, they've controlled this school for 2 years. They decide who's popular, who's acceptable, who gets pushed to the edges. Why do people let them? Because their families have power. Because fighting back means becoming a target, because—" Pip hesitated. "Because most of us aren't from Deathworlds. We're not built for conflict." Maya felt a wave of sadness. "Conflict isn't natural for humans either," she said softly. "We just got good at it because our planet kept trying to kill us. We learned to fight back or die. That's why they fear you," Pip said. "All of you. Humanity survived everything Earth threw at them. Disease, predators, climate disasters, even yourselves. You kept fighting, kept adapting. Most species in the galaxy evolved on paradise worlds where survival was easy. The idea of a species that had to claw its way to intelligence terrifies them." Maya thought about that as she went to her next class. Fear. Maybe that's what all of this was really about. Not hatred, not contempt. Fear of what humans represented. A reminder that the universe could be cruel and unforgiving, and that surviving it required something most species had never needed to develop. The threatening messages continued that night. More hate, more hostility, but also a few surprising notes of support. A student who had been bullied before Maya arrived. A transfer student from another system who understood what it was like to be different. Even a Vaxil, one of Kessa's own species, who privately apologized for their kind's behavior. Not everyone was against her. That was something. Maya was studying her biology homework when her door buzzed. She opened it carefully, expecting another confrontation. Instead, she found Commander Park standing in the corridor. "Walk with me," the diplomat said. They walked through the station's observation deck, where huge windows looked out at the stars. Earth was visible from here, a blue marble surrounded by humanity's growing space infrastructure. Orbital platforms, construction yards, defense satellites. "I'm pulling you out," Park said without warning. Maya's heart sank. Because of the incident? Because this situation is getting worse faster than we expected. The Vaxil delegation is pushing hard for your expulsion. Other species are watching to see how we respond. If we let them intimidate us into removing you, it sets a bad example. But if we force you to stay in an increasingly hostile environment, that's not fair to you either. "I don't want to leave," Maya said. "If I run now, it proves them right. Humans are too violent, too unstable, too dangerous to integrate." Park smiled sadly. "You're 16 years old, Maya. You shouldn't have to carry the weight of humanity's reputation." "But I do," Maya said. "Every human out here does. We're ambassadors whether we want to be or not. Our actions reflect on our entire species." She turned to face the commander. "What would you do? If you were me?" Park was quiet for a long moment. "I'd fight," she finally said. "Not with my fists. With my accomplishments. I'd become so good at what I do that they couldn't ignore me. I'd make them respect me despite their prejudice." She paused. "But I'd also accept that some battles aren't worth winning. Some environments are too toxic to survive in." "This isn't toxic yet," Maya said. "It's just weighted wrong. Like gravity. I can adapt. Can you? Or are you going to break?" Maya looked out at Earth, at the planet that had made her species through millions of years of constant pressure. "Humans don't break," she said quietly. "We bend, we adapt, we survive." "All right," Park said. "Then I'll buy you time. But Maya, if this gets worse, if it becomes truly dangerous, I'm pulling you out." "No arguments," Maya nodded. She could accept that. As she walked back to her room, Maya felt different. Stronger somehow. She had stood up for herself twice now. Once with action, once with words. And she was still here, still standing, still fighting. The next few weeks would be hard. Kessa wouldn't forgive being embarrassed twice. The other students would keep testing her. The messages would continue. But Maya was ready. She was from Earth. And humans knew how to survive hostile environments. It's what they did best. The next 2 weeks were a lesson in psychological warfare. Kessa's group was too smart to try physical intimidation again. Instead, they went after everything else in Maya's life. Someone hacked into Maya's school projects and deleted weeks of work the night before her big presentation. Her gravity compensator was sabotaged, leaving her stumbling through hallways like she was drunk. Someone spread rumors that she had been kicked out of schools on Earth for violence, that she was unstable, that her parents were using diplomatic connections to protect a dangerous criminal. The worst part was how clever it all was. Nothing could be traced back to Kessa directly. Every incident could be explained as a technical problem or a misunderstanding. Maya's grades started to slip, not because she wasn't smart enough, but because she was exhausted. She spent more time defending herself, rebuilding destroyed work and trying to maintain some kind of normal life than actually studying. She stopped eating in the cafeteria completely. Too many hostile stares. Too many whispered insults. She ordered meal packages that she ate alone in her room, trying to pretend this was normal, that this was fine. It wasn't fine. Pip still talked to her sometimes, but even the friendly alien was becoming distant. Being associated with Maya had consequences. Others who had shown support backed away after facing their own mysterious problems. Maya was being systematically isolated, and there was nothing she could do about it. Every complaint she filed disappeared into bureaucracy. Every piece of evidence was called inconclusive. The message was clear. Deal with it yourself or leave. 3 weeks after the cafeteria incident, Maya found herself in the school gym at 3 in the morning. She couldn't sleep anyway. Might as well work out her frustration on something that couldn't file a complaint. She had set the gravity in the exercise room to Earth standard. Only Deathworld species could handle it for long periods. The weight felt good, honest, real. For 30 minutes, she pushed her body through exercises that would have been impossible for most students at the school. Not because she was showing off, because she needed to remember what she was capable of. Impressive. Maya spun around to find Kyle Chen, one of the 4 other humans at the school, leaning against the doorway. Kyle was older, 18, a senior studying engineering. They had nodded to each other in hallways, but never really talked. The human students kept to themselves, aware that forming a group would only feed the stereotype. Didn't mean to interrupt, Kyle said, stepping into the gravity field without a compensator. He moved easily, naturally. Earthborn. Mind if I join you? Free station, Maya said, returning to her workout. They exercised in silence for a while. It was oddly comforting being around someone who understood, who moved with the same weight, who didn't flinch at normal human strength. I heard about what happened, Kyle finally said. With Kessa. Everyone heard. Yeah, well, for what it's worth, you handled it better than I would have. Maya paused her routine. What would you have done? Kyle smiled grimly. I would have put her through a wall. Which is exactly why I avoid confrontation. Hot temper, not great for relations between species. So you just take it? The comments? The attitude? I count down the days until graduation, Kyle said. 2 months. Then I'm gone. Back to human space where I don't have to constantly apologize for existing. He met her eyes. You've got 2 years left, Maya, 2 years in this place. Is it worth it? Maya thought about her answer. Really thought about it. I don't know, she admitted. I wanted to prove that humans could integrate, that we could succeed in their spaces by their rules, but they keep changing the rules. That's the thing about being the outsider, Kyle said. The rules were never designed with us in mind. We're added into a system that doesn't want us here. So what? We just give up? Let them win. We pick our battles. Kyle resumed his workout. Some hills aren't worth dying on. Maya finished her routine in silence. Kyle's words echoed in her head. Pick your battles. Was this a battle worth fighting? Or was she just being stubborn? The next day, she had her answer. Maya walked into her advanced mathematics class to find every desk covered in printouts. Detailed diagrams of human biology, marked up with notes about violence potential, aggressive tendencies, and evolutionary disposition to warfare. Her name was at the top of each sheet, next to the heading Deathworld Predator Study. The other students watched her reaction. Some looked uncomfortable. Others were smirking. Kessa sat in the back row, her crystal body flickering with satisfaction. Professor Meln, a timid alien who taught mathematics, seemed upset by the disruption but clearly didn't know how to handle it. These aren't school-approved materials. If everyone could please. Maya walked to her desk, picked up one of the sheets and read it carefully. The information was technically accurate. Humans did have higher aggression markers than most species. Their evolutionary history was violent. Their biology was built for pursuit hunting, endurance, and environmental domination. But the way it was presented made it sound like a threat assessment. Like she was a predator among prey. Dangerous, unstable, other. Something inside Maya hardened. She looked across the room at Kessa. "You want to study Deathworld predators?" Maya said quietly. "Fine, let's educate everyone." She walked to the front of the classroom, ignoring Professor Meln's weak protests. She pulled up the holographic display and started entering data. "Humans evolved on Earth," she began. "A Class 12 Deathworld by Council classifications. During our species development, Earth experienced 5 major extinction events. The last one wiped out 75% of all species. Humans survived by adapting." She pulled up images of human evolution, early human ancestors, the development of tool use, the migration across continents. "We're persistence hunters," Maya continued. "We can't outrun most predators in a sprint, but we can track prey for days. We can survive without water for 3 days, without food for 3 weeks. We heal from injuries that would kill most species. We can function on very little sleep. We can eat an incredible variety of materials because we had to learn to consume whatever was available." She switched to images of human civilization. "We domesticated predators to help us. We built societies in environments ranging from desert to Arctic ice. We survived pandemics that killed millions. We adapted to every climate on our planet." Maya turned to face the class. "Yes, humans are violent. Know why? Because everything on Earth is. Predators, parasites, diseases, even the weather. We learned to fight because the alternative was death. Not metaphorical death. Actual extinction." She pulled up comparison data. The average Vaxil world has 3 large predator species. Earth has thousands. The average Council world has a 95% survival rate for offspring. Pre-industrial human survival rate was about 50%. We're not violent because we're evil. We're survivors because we had to be. Kessa stood up, her light patterns angry. "This doesn't justify—" "I'm not justifying anything," Maya cut her off. "I'm providing context. You want to study me like I'm some dangerous animal? Fine. But understand that every single thing that scares you about humans exists because we're products of a world that makes this station look like a vacation resort." She switched the display off. "And despite all of that, despite coming from a planet that tried to kill us constantly, humans developed art, music, philosophy, ethics. We created civilizations based on cooperation, not just survival. We reached for the stars not because we wanted to conquer, but because we wanted to understand." Maya picked up one of the printouts. "So yes, study the Deathworld predator, but maybe also study the species that looked at a hostile universe and decided to build something beautiful anyway." She walked back to her desk in complete silence. Professor Meln cleared his throat nervously. "Well, that was informative. Perhaps we should return to equations." The class resumed, but Maya barely paid attention. She had crossed another line, defended her species again, made herself an even bigger target. But she had also told the truth, and somehow that felt more important than fitting in. The formal hearing was scheduled for the following week. The Vaxil delegation, frustrated by their failure to get Maya expelled through normal ways, had invoked an old council rule about safety assessments for students from high-risk environments. Basically, they were arguing that humans were too dangerous to attend mixed-species schools without additional psychological testing. Commander Park told Maya it was a political move that would fail, but the fact that it had gotten this far was worrying. If the council sided with the Vaxil delegation, even a little bit, it could set a rule for restricting human participation across all council institutions. Maya sat in her room the night before the hearing, preparing her statement. She had been told to keep it brief, factual, and unemotional. Don't give them ammunition. Don't prove their point. Her device buzzed. A message from an unexpected source. Professor Wendell. Miss Brooks, please report to my office when convenient. There is something you should see. Maya found the floating professor in the lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing data she didn't immediately understand. I've been conducting an analysis, Wendell said without introduction. Your situation troubled me, so I reviewed all interactions between you and other students since your arrival. I also reviewed interactions involving the other 4 human students. The displays shifted, showing social network maps, communication patterns, incident reports. What I discovered is disturbing, Wendell continued. There is a coordinated effort to create hostile environments around all human students at this school. Not just you. The pattern is clear. Systematic harassment, social isolation, academic sabotage, all targeted at your species specifically. Maya felt cold. It's organized? The data suggests yes. Someone with considerable resources and technical skill has been directing this. Kessa and her group are the public face, but they're being guided. Why? Fear, Wendell said simply. Humanity represents a significant disruption to the galactic order. A Deathworld species achieving technological equality in mere centuries rather than thousands of years. Some view this as threatening. So what do? I present this evidence at tomorrow's hearing, Wendell said. And you tell your story. Not as a victim, not as an aggressor, as a representative of your species who has endured discrimination and responded with remarkable restraint. The hearing room was packed. Representatives from a dozen species, school administrators, legal advocates, and a 3-member council panel. Maya sat at a table with Commander Park facing the panel. The Vaxil delegation presented their case first. 40 minutes of testimony about human violence potential, about the cafeteria incident, about the inherent risks of integrating Deathworld species into civilized institutions. Then it was their turn. Professor Wendell presented the data analysis. The room grew progressively quieter as the scope of the harassment campaign became clear. This wasn't random bullying. This was systematic discrimination with clear organizational structure. Then Maya was called to speak. She stood looking at the panel, at the assembled observers, at Kessa sitting with her family's delegation, no longer smirking. I'm 16, Maya began. I came to this school because I wanted to learn. I wanted to prove that humans could contribute to galactic society. I wanted to be part of something bigger than one species, one world. She pulled up an image of Earth on the central display. I come from a planet that tried very hard to kill my ancestors. We survived by being smart, adaptable, and yes, sometimes violent. But we also survived by cooperating, by building communities, by choosing again and again to help each other instead of just ourselves. Maya switched the image to show human achievements, medical discoveries, technological innovations, artistic works. In 200 years of spaceflight, humans have contributed significant advances to council science. We've shared our medical knowledge freely, saving millions of lives across dozens of species. We've offered our perspective on survival, adaptation, and resilience. We've tried to be good neighbors. She looked directly at the Vaxil delegation, and in return I've been harassed, isolated, and discriminated against for the crime of being from Earth. Not for anything I've done. For what I am. Maya turned back to the panel. If the council decides that humans are too dangerous to integrate, that's your choice. But understand what you're really saying. You're saying that survivors make you uncomfortable. That species who had to fight for every advantage don't deserve a place at the table. That the price of admission to your civilization is having evolved on an easy world. She sat down. The room was silent. The lead judge, an ancient alien with silver-threaded robes, leaned forward. Miss Brooks, if you could change one thing about this situation, what would it be? Maya didn't hesitate. I'd want people to judge me for what I do, not where I'm from. I'd want the chance to fail or succeed on my own merits. I'd want to be seen as an individual, not a statistic about human violence potential. The judge nodded slowly. Thank you. The panel talked privately for 3 hours. Maya waited in a side room with Commander Park, both of them silent. This was bigger than just Maya's situation now. This would affect every human who wanted to participate in galactic institutions. Finally, they were called back. The lead judge spoke. After reviewing all evidence and testimony, this panel finds that student Maya Brooks has been subjected to systematic harassment and discrimination based on her species of origin. The cafeteria incident, while technically a violation of conduct rules, occurred after documented provocation and represents a reasonable response given the circumstances. Maya's heart pounded. However, the judge continued, we also find that Galactic Academy Station 7 has failed in its duty to provide a safe educational environment for all students. The school administration will implement immediate reforms, including mandatory anti-discrimination training, improved incident reporting systems, and the establishment of a diversity advocacy office. The Vaxil delegation shifted uncomfortably regarding the broader question of human integration into council institutions. This panel finds no evidence that humans as a species represent an unacceptable risk. Individual students will continue to be evaluated on their own merits, not species-wide stereotypes. The judge looked directly at Maya. Miss Brooks, you are cleared of all charges. Your academic standing is restored. The school owes you an apology, which I hope they will provide. Maya felt Commander Park's hand on her shoulder, squeezing gently. However, the judge added, we recommend continued monitoring of your situation, not because we doubt your stability, but because we recognize that the environment here may remain challenging. Your well-being is most important. The hearing ended. Maya walked out into the corridor where Kyle and the other 3 human students were waiting. No words were exchanged, just nods of understanding. They had won this round. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. Over the next months, things slowly changed at the school. The reforms were put in place. Kessa and her closest friends were suspended for a semester. New support structures were created for minority species students. It wasn't perfect. Maya still dealt with occasional hostility, still heard whispers, still faced students who would never accept humans as equals. But she also made friends, real ones. Pip became a steady lab partner. A student named Zek sought her out to discuss philosophy. Even a few Vaxil students, ashamed of their species' behavior, reached out to apologize. Maya's grades improved. Her projects excelled. She discovered she had a talent for biology, particularly in understanding how different species adapted to their environments. Turned out being from a Deathworld gave her unique insights into evolutionary pressure. On her last day of the academic year, Maya stood on the observation deck looking out at Earth. Commander Park joined her. You did good, kid, Park said. Not just surviving, thriving. It got easier, Maya admitted. Once I stopped trying to be what they expected and just focused on being competent. That's the secret, Park said. Excellence is the best revenge. Be so good they can't ignore you. Maya smiled. What about the other humans coming up? The next generation of students? They'll have an easier time because of what you did, Park said. You proved humans belong here. Not by being perfect, by being resilient. Maya thought about that. Resilient. Maybe that was the most human trait of all. The ability to take damage, adapt, and keep moving forward. She had 2 more years at the school. 2 more years of proving that Deathworlders could integrate, could contribute, could coexist with species from gentler worlds. It wouldn't be easy. There would be setbacks, more confrontations, more moments where she would have to choose between fighting back and walking away. But Maya Brooks was the daughter of Earth, and humans didn't quit. They adapted. They survived. They thrived. And slowly, one interaction at a time, they taught the galaxy that being from a death world didn't make you dangerous. It made you strong enough to choose kindness despite knowing how to fight. That, Maya decided, was worth the wait.